Hi, everyone, and welcome back from our networking session. I hope you had the opportunity to take a little break, maybe get some coffee, but most importantly, meet some of the interesting change makers in the room. But speaking of change makers, I'm very excited to have you all back for our next panel of inspiring young leaders who, truly in the spirit of this conference, have seen issues and taken it into their hands to solve them. We have some fascinating people on this panel, so if you would like to ask questions like you did before, please use the Q&A section and upvote your favorite questions. But without much further ado, I would like just to introduce our change makers, but to guide us through this and to host our next panel, Changing the Face of Leadership, Unique Different Leaders of Today, is also a very special change maker. Margaret Muto, the founder of East Africa chapter of 1MillionStartups. Margaret, please join me.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you for the introduction and for taking us through the previous session. And I'd like to echo what she's just said, that the audience is in for a treat for the next session, because the panelists that I'm about to call to join me on stage are the true embodiment of the new face of leadership. And these are great entrepreneurs and leaders from across the world that are making the world a better place. And we're just about to hear their stories on how they started, how they got to where they are, and I hope you are going to be inspired. So I'd like to call the first panelist, Maya Penn, to join me on stage. Maya is the founder and the CEO of Maya Ideas, which she founded when she was only 8 years old. I wonder what most of us did when we were 8. Yeah, so she's an environmental activist, an artist, an eco-designer, and a TED speaker. Welcome, Maya.
Thank you so much, Margaret. This is really exciting. I'm so honored to be a part of this incredible conference.
You're most welcome. I'd like to call the next panelist, Laila Bear. She is the CEO of Gaia Protection, and she works with the movement called Precious Plastic in Communities in Costa Rica, which aims to bring more of the circular economy vision into practice. Please join us on stage.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for opening up this space. It's a true honor and pleasure to see you all here and co-create on this amazing day. Thank you so much.
Yes, so nice to have you. Thank you. Okay, next, I would like to introduce Boniface Ndegwa. Kindly join us. Boniface is the founder of Turning Trash into Treasure, a consortium program that also runs Universal Revolution Empire and Good Guys Globe Society. He's passionate about personal and community development. Please join us on stage. Okay, next, I'd like to introduce Yasmin El Bagari. She is the CEO of Voyage. She is also the Glamour Woman of the Year 2016, a Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 honoree for the year 2018, a social entrepreneur who runs to be with Space for Humanity, the planet's first sponsored citizen to the astronaut mission. This really sounds exciting. You're most welcome, Yasmin.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Okay, glad to have you on board. We were to have another panelist who was like the youngest ever on our panel. She's 12 years old, called Molly Steer, but because of a conflicting engagement with school, she couldn't join us today. But you are most welcome to this panel. So I'd like to throw this question to all of you. What really inspired you as young leaders, as running very successful initiatives in your part of the world? What really inspired you to start? And perhaps you could start with you, Maya.
Yeah, so I started my own sustainable fashion company called Maya's Ideas in 2008 when I was just 8 years old. And at the time when I started, now we have words that we see like kidpreneur, teenpreneur. That did not exist for me when I started. I was very much an anomaly in every room that I walked into, and I kind of had to carve my own path in the space of youth entrepreneurship. I started really from a passion of course, art and design. I've always been incredibly creative, and fashion design was something that captured me at that age. But I've also always been incredibly passionate about the environment, about sustainable practices, and about preserving our ecosystems. And so I took those two passions and I combined them into Maya's ideas. So all of my items are made from organic, recycled, and vintage materials. And I also used other methods such as biofabrication, material science, biomimicry, and lots of other really cool sustainable practices in my business. And since I started, I've been in the business world now for 12 years. I'm 20 now, and my business has become a global brand. And I'm also a sustainability consultant, and I have done sustainability consultations for Fortune 500 companies. So it's really great to be able to see just how one idea I had at only 8 years old has evolved into something much bigger that's really making an impact.
Wow, that's truly amazing. Do you resonate with that, Yasmin? How is your story? What got you started?
Well, first of all, Maya, you're such an inspiration, and we do have a friend in common. I found out just recently, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. To me, I grew up in Morocco, in Africa, and I always dreamt to travel the world and to explore new horizons. And when I was very young, people used to tell me that I couldn't, that I was so young and I was a female and just all these no's. And then I thought, I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm just not going to listen and just go for my dream. So I left Morocco at 17. I traveled to the United States as an exchange student first in Kansas. And then I took a Greyhound bus across all 50 states. And then I traveled to 45 countries, all with the intention to really understand people and cultures by meeting people locally. And what I learned is that we have so many misconceptions and stereotypes in our minds. And the more we interact with one another, we break down those illusions that separate us and realize that we're all a human family. And so Voyage, which is my technology company, is all about connecting communities around the world and interconnecting these communities together. And that could be youth, that could be countries, that could be universities, refugees. It doesn't really matter. A community is just, we are a community of 5 in this moment. So how do we interconnect with other communities all over the world to feel this sense of belonging, sense of home, anywhere we go, including outer space, obviously. And we'll get to that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us how you got started. Boniface Nego, kindly tell us your story.
Thank you so much. It's an honor being here. Growing up as a young person in the slums, in the informal settlements in my municipality, in Nyeri County, I underwent the challenges many young people go through. And at some point, despite my parents giving me the very best, I fell out, even dropped out at school. So in my recovery path, I purposed the influence that got me out. I'll influence others to the right direction, promoting safe environments. And I brought along friends, classmates. I was in high schools then. We formed the Good Guys Globe Society, and I developed the dream while I was in high school, also the company, but I registered it way later after college. And I brought friends and who helped me influence others. We started, fast forward, we started the Good Guys Globe Universal Revolution Consortium, which brought turning trash into treasure. It's an end-to-end offering end-to-end waste management solution. We have been helping destitute persons, street families. During this COVID-19 season, we have been protecting the informal settlements. We are from hand washing, masks, feeding program, and yeah, that's how I got to birth and the drive that got me here. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And what's your story, Laila? We'd like to hear.
I'm already so inspired by everyone here. It's simply amazing and mind-blowing. Well, yeah, my journey began in Costa Rica, where I was born, and it's so beautiful because Costa Rica is one of the most biodiverse and sustainable countries of the world. So there I was really lucky to grow up in the middle of the jungle, deeply connected to wild animals and exotic plants and a variety of cultures from all over the world, really. And then at the age of 9, I moved to Germany, to my mother's and my father's home country, and realized this interesting contrast of cultures and of ways of lifestyle, and saw that we as countries that really have a high responsibility on the world should really engage on potential ways of developing solutions for the world. And I began traveling after I graduated 2017 from high school, and began to explore the world with my own eyes, and was suddenly standing on a beach completely covered by plastic, and I swam in oil and saw how much damage we are really creating to our planet. That somehow I received this message: okay, Lila, you really are here to protect the earth and future generations, and do something that brings people together. So first of all, I began to explore potential ways of how can we solve this plastic problem and this plastic issue, and discovered a very interesting open source movement called Precious Plastic, which is basically an open source design that enables everyone to build do-it-yourself plastic recycling machines around the world. So I was like, wow, this is an amazing solution. And I began to build this in Costa Rica with a technical college in the capital city. And this showed me how easy it actually is to just get active if you see that there is a way to do something, and if you have the opportunities to just look for the people that can help you on your path. And from there, then I reached out to my friends who were always just sharing about the negative situation in our world and being really depressed sometimes. And I said, look, guys, there is no need to be depressed. It's amazing how many solutions exist. Let's create an open space to bring and empower those projects. And then that's the time where we opened the NGO Gaia Protection, and now the platform Gaia Protection, that aims to match solution-oriented individuals, projects, and donors to really make the creation of projects and open source knowledge as accessible as possible. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here today and learn from you all what you're doing, and super, super grateful for the opportunity to co-create with you this beautiful future.
Oh, thank you all so much for telling us how you got started. And this leads me to the next question. You all started while you were very young. Did you face any challenges? Did people take you really seriously when you started your initiatives? We could start with you, Maya.
So it was always, very interesting starting so young, because of the fact that, especially like what I first said, that when I started, there wasn't as much of a youth entrepreneurship movement as there is now around the world. But it definitely made me stand out. A lot of people kind of had a, kind of thought of like, oh, that's cute. Like, and there wasn't always a thing of being taken seriously. It was a little bit difficult when I very first started. And of course you see this 8-year-old girl, with her own business, you don't always know what to expect. But when people really started to see and learn about what I was doing and how important that this was to me and the change that I was trying to make within the industry, people started to really take me seriously. The fashion industry is in terms of carbon emissions, the fashion industry actually produces more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. And so when you take that into consideration, and the fact that I had to do a lot of education work when I first started my business, because sustainable fashion is a really huge market now. And the global eco-fibers market is rapidly increasing every year. But when I first started, even people that live kind of sustainable or environmentally friendly lifestyles were not even aware of what their wardrobe had to do with living a more eco-friendly life, and that there was a tie between the environment and with fashion. And so I had to do a lot of education work as well. You know, I've given 3 TED Talks now, and I've spoken at a number of different companies like IBM, Google, Fossil, and, you know, really doing that and, you know, educating people about this issue, as well as, you know, my company being a solution. I think that really made people really realize and, you know, respect me, even though I started it so young, because I was able to help teach a lot of people about a cause that I was really passionate about. And that's, you know, now more consumers are becoming educated on every day. So I think that's what, you know, really helped shift the focus. You know, of course, it's being young and also being a young Black woman really kind of created, you know, a few obstacles for me. But once people really saw that this is something I was really passionate about, serious about, and was really, you know, making change in this space, I think people started to really understand.
And you have really done well in that. So how was it for you, Yasmin?
Well, it's such an interesting question because it does bring back so many memories. But it was 2014 when I started Voyage, and I started because I was traveling the world and I was having this amazing human experience, staying with families all over the country, and I thought everybody did that. So in my mind, I'm just like living my dream, and you know everyone else is living theirs. And slowly, I started to realize that wasn't the case for a lot of people. Like not everybody traveled in the same way that I did. And I'd get questions around like, how do you travel all the time and how do you know all these people? And I just would say like, you just talk to them. Why have we become afraid to talk to each other in real, authentic ways? Was a question. So I said, okay, this is a problem that I need to address because I love humans, I love strangers, and I really believe that, you know, you're my family. And I came back to Morocco. I took a year off from college, which was a big negotiation with my family to take time off from school to start my business. And when I came back, I remember I used to reach out to people and not companies wouldn't take me seriously. They thought it was, you know, cute, as Maya mentioned earlier. And I just, you know, was like, whatever, you know, I believe in it, that's what matters. And I remember it was the Obama's Global Entrepreneurship Summit that happened in Marrakech. And for whatever reason, I was invited to be on a panel with Joe Biden, the vice president at the time, Joe Biden, who's also running this year. And I was like, okay, whatever. I showed up, and then that picture like suddenly gave me credibility, which was interesting. Like the next day, people were like, well, she must be doing something interesting if she's sitting next to Joe Biden. I was like, you know, now you're listening, great. So I realized the power of, you know, this idea of perception, which I'm always fascinated about. Like when you're on Forbes magazine or you're invited to speak at an event, suddenly people want to talk to you. And before you're kind of like a nobody. So, I mean, it's good because I leverage it to advance the mission of creating more peace in the world. But I wish that wasn't the case. I wish people just took everybody seriously when they're on a mission and listen to one another to make the change happen. So, yay.
Wow, that's really, really, really good. And for you, Boniface, what challenges did you face when you started your initiative?
I've faced a lot of challenges through starting from birthing the idea itself. You know, in an African aspect, when you start telling people we have to start segregating waste at source, that's new to them. Telling them we can have value, we can find value from waste was also an issue coming from an informal settlement, what many call the ghetto of the slum. Also being young, all those factors, I had a million reasons not to do what I'm doing now, but I had one reason which has been driving me till date. Also raising the funds to have our organization, the organization's registered. Having noted that getting employment in Kenya or in Africa is an issue, I had to volunteer. The stipend I got is what I used to set up the programs and also have them registered, demonstrating.
I think we've lost him. Okay. In the meantime, Laila, you could tell us your story. Did you face any challenges? What kept you going?
Well, to be very honest, I think my biggest challenge, I think I self was my biggest challenge at the beginning, because I was realizing how much damage we were creating to our planet, and that I myself was responsible for that as well, by consuming plastic and by living in ways that are not fully responsible with our planet either. So therefore, I went through a process where I had to go through, I would almost call it like an eco-anxiety depression somehow, where I realized, wow, this is happening, and I'm basically going through this journey of me against the rest of the world, because my parents or my family or my friends were not really understanding why I was suddenly so worried about our future. And therefore then I also realized, specifically on this beach that I mentioned before, that was completely covered with plastic and oil, and it was just the most terrifying image that I've ever saw in real life. I really felt that there is this issue where we say, oh, it's about environmental protection, when actually it's about protecting the basic human needs and the things that we need in order to thrive until a state that we then can really worry about environmental protection. So this is where I realized this is way bigger than just caring about plastic or reforestation or anything related to environment. It really begins with the social justice and with the basic needs and the living conditions that we all need to create circular systems and job opportunities. So from there, then I saw, okay, it's a big problem that we're facing here. It's a very integrative and very holistic. But I also saw, okay, I'm not alone anymore. There are people out there that are on the same mission, that are very like-minded and like-hearted as well. So there's always my favorite quote that I love to say, that is, sometimes we feel like a lonely drop in the ocean, but actually, what would be the ocean without all those lonely drops? So yeah, it doesn't matter how lonely we feel sometimes, there are always people with the same vision, the same heart, and the same intention out there that are ready to co-create this new world. So yeah.
Oh, really encouraging just listening to all of you on how you've been able to beat the odds and keep going. Yeah, and blaze the trail even in your different sectors. So I have one last question for you. What would you say has helped you to get to where you are, and what can we do to help you in your initiative? And we can start with you, Maya.
What's really helped me to get to where I am, I've definitely worked really hard to get to where I am in my journey, but it really has been helpful to have the support of people from different generations, to have people that, you know, have really believed in my work and what it is that I'm doing. And it's so important to me personally to, you know, to me, the definition of success is, of course, reaching your goals, but then reaching back and helping others meet theirs as well. Because, you know, when I started at such a young age, having other people in the sustainability space, in the business world, who have supported me or mentored me and, you know, really support my vision, I'm now able to do the same for other young entrepreneurs who are my age when I started, and being able to work with other young people to help them to meet their goals as entrepreneurs. And so that's something that's really been incredibly important to me. And, you know, even to Yasmin's point, which, you know, something really resonated with me, you know, what I think it was really what made everything take off was by the time I was actually 10 years old, I was featured in Forbes magazine as this grade school entrepreneur. And, that is what really got more eyes on my business and what I was doing. And then by the time I was 16, I actually received a commendation from former US President Barack Obama. And so all of that being said, once people really start to see you get your accolades for the hard work that you've put in, then people, really want to support your work. But I think it's important to support the person and not just the accolade. I think that's something that I've always been really passionate about, being able to be a mentor myself now and all of that. I really, I've had people in my life that have supported me, supported my vision as an entrepreneur, as an activist, as an animator and a creative, and all the different things that I do. And, I think that is what's really key, is supporting, to Yasmin's point, supporting the person and not just the accolade, or not waiting until they're quote unquote popular to start, lifting up their voice or shouting them out or sharing it is what they're doing. And so all of that being said, that is what's definitely helped me on my journey. And in terms of answering your other question, what kind of support that I would need right now, I also am an animator, a filmmaker as well. In 2016, I was commissioned to animate the opening of the first ever digital report presented to Congress. And this was to get an American Museum of Women's History built in Washington, D.C., because there's not one, chronicling the hard work and achievements of women in American history. And I have my own animation and virtual reality production company, and I focus solely on really social, educational stories that really make an impact and that actually have real world tie-in to make a difference. And I focus a lot in sustainability in that area. And I also have my own nonprofit as well called My Ideas for the Planet, where I am I've been able to help support women in healthcare facilities around the world, including in Haiti, Senegal, Somalia, and Cameroon. And so at this particular point for both of those projects, it's mostly the resources and funding to continue this really important work and to continue these projects. That's kind of the main need, is to continue to have the funding to continue to do these projects that are really making a difference.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope the audience is really listening to how you can really support these great initiatives that are making our world a better place. So Yasmin, please tell us just one thing that you think has got you to where you are today and how we can help you in your initiative.
Wow, it's a big question and also a very simple question. But to me, it's always people. When I look back at the last 10 years, last decade since I left my country, and actually I'm now back this year, I really feel that the people that I met, every encounter, every interaction, every serendipitous meeting I had has elevated me and brought something if I'm really listening. And so much of it for me is about being aware of the moment rather than taking. It's an exchange of energy. So for me, it's always, my mission is about meaningful human connections. Like, how do we build deep, authentic connections around the world? Because when we do that, anything is possible. You meet the right collaborators, investors, resources. Like, the sky is actually the sky is not the limit. And then then things are possible. So my hope today is, within our community, the 1 Million Startups community, we help each other. We reach out to one another and check in. Oftentimes it's simple questions like asking people how they are, how are you? What is the biggest challenge? How are you feeling? Like, just very basic questions that can really open up wells of possibilities, instead of just trying to figure out on our own, which we know that we can't do it by ourselves. So how you can help me? be open. If you're open with your community, with your friends, with strangers in the street, that will make me happy, because the mission is 8 billion people. So how do we bring this mission of interconnectedness in all corners of the world, in Costa Rica, in Africa, everywhere? Like that's how you can help me, and say hello. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much. Boniface, Maya, and Yasmin have mentioned that the one thing that they think has gotten them to where they are is, for Maya, she said, is a great support system. Yasmin has mentioned it's the people. What would you say has been the one thing that has gotten you to where you are, helped you succeed throughout the years? And what is that one thing that we can support you as a community? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as the challenges I stated that I've been, to get where I am, I've done a lot of research. We have done a lot of research. The small wins and the challenges we overcome daily help the determination and resilience. The one factor and one person I'm also much grateful is in our local government, the deputy governor has helped linked me up with opportunities. The UN Habitat, which we are developing an MOU with, and other organization, and to get where to forge forward, I'll invite. I plan to have Nyeri and the community I'm from is a green and clean county to be used as a model to be applied in.
Okay, seems we've lost him again. I think we'll get to him once he gets back on stage. And Laila, we'd like to hear from you. What are your views? What got you to where you are, and how can we support you in your initiative, the initiative Gaia Connections? Yes.
So first and foremost, I think that my parents, and especially my mom, were a major, or are still a major influence in who I am today and how I developed myself. Yeah, being born in Costa Rica and living on an organic farm for the first half of my life, I really felt this strong connection to nature that was really given to me by my mom and my parents. And it brought me down to earth to realize, okay, like it begins with regenerating our soil, and it finishes with then like actually collaborating with local communities to see how we can create more opportunities for everyone. So having this said, I think that this aspect of my parents and the first few years of my life marked me a lot, because actually Gaia Protection was founded by my dad in first time. His vision was to create an open space for farmers, permaculturists, lawyers, and many, many people from all over the world to create bioreservoirs around national parks in Costa Rica and huge reforestation projects, so that investors and people that want to buy properties there would not destroy the primary rainforest. And then something happened, because when I was 5 years, my dad died, and with him, really the entire Gaia Protection vision and the project died with him. And when I was 15, actually the first time I realized what Gaia Protection means and meant for him, and how his vision was such an integral system of bringing people together for a shared vision, for a shared cause, which is really protecting our primary source of all life, which is Gaia, our Mother Earth, and the base of everything. So this is really what inspired me and brought me where I am today. It's this inner driven energy and the purpose that I have from my parents. And I'm incredibly grateful for the people that I met along the way, that have been always mentoring me and guiding me, and yeah, just opening doors and different opportunities to learn and grow as life comes.
Wow, we cannot overemphasize the importance of having a great support system, which is why 1 Million Startups global community exists to support great entrepreneurs like you so that you may continue doing what you're doing and impact more people. So what's your parting shot before we close this session? Just one parting shot from each of you. Yeah, 30 seconds. Let's start with Maya.
My parting shot would be to, any passion that you, I know there was a question about, and I know we haven't gotten Q&A, but a question that you had about kind of, any advice for just kind of starting a new mission, to achieve their ambition in life. Be bold, be brave, be curious, and, know that the smallest actions lead to the biggest changes. And people are waiting to hear the voices of people like everyone here on the panel, everyone who's watching, from their homes. It's really important to believe in yourself, what you're passionate about, and know that the world is waiting for your idea and to learn about your passion and to be changed by you. And so continue to move forward and to just take that leap.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yasmin, please give us your parting shot.
I'll leave you with a quote, which is shoot for the stars and land on the moon. I think that's how it goes. But have a big dream, big enough so that you never lose sight of it, and truly know that your story and who you are matters in this world, and all of us. And so, don't be afraid to show up fully and just speak your truth and open your heart, because the world needs you. So, honor.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, the world is a better place because of all of you. So Boniface, what's your parting shot? Yes.
My parting shot will be believe in your dreams. The next may not apply to everyone. For believers, believe in God and seek guidance, be persistent, have a plan, count the progress you make as success, and you'll get there. And also I'll invite anyone on the podium. We can engage through my handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Ask Bonnybull, or my website at www.askbonnybull.html, goodguysglobe.com/askbonnybull.html. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Boniface. And I hope the audience has caught those details. Laila, please give us your parting shot.
Yes, so my last words for you would be to just be brave on creating this new beautiful earth, and let's always remember and envision of where we're heading. Let's see and really clearly work towards those communities that we are aiming for, those socially responsible, secure and peaceful, sustainable communities that we are really looking forward to have in 2030. So we have a few years to go, and there is a lot of potential, a lot of solutions around us. So let's never give up. Let's continue this beautiful journey. And if you're somewhere from a country where climate collapse is whipping out your land, your home, or if you're in a refugee camp because you have to leave your home because your soil is dead, or if you're a young person who really feels frustrated about your leaders, the politicians and adults, let's understand the magnitude of this problem, but also let's stay really, really honest and strong. Let me tell you, you're not alone. We're here together, and we're one family and one tribe, and in this beautiful planet home together.
Okay, and at this point, I'd like to say thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We are truly inspired and encouraged that you are, because to us, you're an example of what's possible, and we've seen what you've been able to achieve. So in the interest of time, we like to wrap up this session. So if any of you in the audience has a question, kindly direct the questions to the panelists. They'll still be sitting on the tables please engage with them even after this panel. Thank you all so much for your time. Over to you, Sophie.
Thank you all so much, truly. I know I'm not alone in this. Like, I leave as touched as I haven't been by a panel in a long time, if ever. So truly, thank you all for sharing your stories. And what I really take away from this is this belief in the interconnectedness and this thing that connects us all, that we share, and that we need to support each other, that we're not alone, that we're all in this together, and that we should believe in that and should believe in the people that we deal with, not in their accolades, not in the fancy stuff that surrounds us all, but in their souls and in their uniqueness. So truly, thank you for showing us this and for continuing to act as guiding lights to show this to us and to people on the whole world. So truly, truly thank you. But what I want to move to right now is to, now having heard from these grassroots innovators that have grown beyond belief, is to see what are the structures in which they act, in which we can create change, and who are the actors who build those structures and who uphold them. This can be from the investment market to the educational system. And this is exactly what our next panel will be about. So for our next panel, I'm lucky enough to know a few of our participants personally. And I know that these people truly lead with empathy, humor, and compassion, just like the beautiful people we just heard from now, who create change and then lead towards the SDGs. And it truly gives me hope to see people like them, like Laila, Maya, Boniface, Yasmin, Margaret, like we've heard you from now, but also for our next panel, to see them in places of leadership, of influence, of power, to create the world that we want to see. And it's beautiful, and it gives us hope to see that this can become a reality. But to guide us through our next panel, which is called Leading Towards the SDGs, I'm very happy to introduce you to someone who also personally inspires me a lot with his enthusiasm to come up with new ways of creating change and making an impact. So please, for our next panel host, welcome global entrepreneur, changemaker, and founder of the Global School for Social Leaders, Roberto Arucha. Roberto?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. On my light. Great. Thank you so much. Just to confirm that everybody can listen to me. Great. Thank you so much. Great. Please, I want to start really quick. So I will just ask every of the panelists who just joined me to the panel right now, and then afterwards I will make the proper presentation. I want to have you with me right now. Please, Olga Diachenko, Werner Müller, and Armand Collard, and Johannes Linder. Thank you so much for joining us to this amazing conference, 1 Million Startups Global Conference. And since the conversation itself is about business and finance and sustainability and how we can sync all of them, it's already complex. So when they asked me to hold this panel, I was really challenged by how can we make this topic in the general public and general opinion is super complex. How can we make it easily to understand? So let me briefly start with something I just discovered. And afterwards, I want to start shooting the first question. But before that, please allow me as well to play deeply focused music, because it may be hard to understand what I'm going to say for the rest of the audience. Okay, if everybody can listen to the music, I will start right now. When we talk about sustainable development, the solutions offered are frequently centered on renewable energy, circular economy, or electric cars. And indeed, there are great solutions, but they are not growing fast enough before this existential crisis we are facing as humanity. In fact, and according to the Swiss bank Saracen & Co., sustainable finance is the #1 solution to tackle the climate challenge, and is far more effective than reducing food waste, educating girls, solar farms, or becoming vegetarians. And yet, the financial sector and the flows of capital going on sustainable development are not playing the role this crisis demands. This reality is shocking. The total assets right now under management globally accounts for 89 trillion US dollars. And from that, only 6.5% is managed in funds with environmental, social, and governance criteria. I will say it again. From 89 trillion US dollars, only 6.5% goes into funds with environmental, social, and governance criteria. The challenge is huge. And I don't want to center this discussion about finance, neither systemic or specific problems within the financial sector. But I want to talk about leadership, about personal responsibility, about mobilization and action. My name is Roberto Rucha, and I'm really honored to welcome Olga Dachenko, co-founder of Human Venture, Impact Creation and Tracking Platform, co-founder of Russian Association of Impact Investors. Thank you, Olga, for being with us. And also want to welcome Werner Müller. He is responsible for startup services and the program lead of the Global Incubator Network at the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, bringing startups and their knowledge from Israel and Asia to Austria. Thank you so much, Werner, for being with us. I want to also welcome Armand Collard. He's the founder and CEO of ESG Plus, a Vienna-based social enterprise that works in the field of sustainable finance and responsible sustainable investing. Armand has 20 years of work experience in private sector finance, in scientific research, in the NGO field, and in the past 5 years as a social entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Armand, for being with us. And last, thank you so much to Johannes Linder, head of the Department of Entrepreneurship Education and the Center of Value-Based Business Education at the University Teacher College, Vienna Krems. He is changing the way children are taught inside and out of the classroom in order to inspire and institutionalize social entrepreneurship as means to achieve effective citizenship for students. Dear panelists, welcome again, and I will start with the first question. Can we really achieve the SDGs by 2030? What is your best case scenario, and what is the worst one? I will start first with Armand. Please, Armand.
Hello, thank you so much for the introduction, Roberto. Hello to everyone out there. It's a great honor to be here and discussing with you. Well, I'd say in my line of work, as you have already said in your introduction, I also believe that in our work with the finance sector potentially has, as the only sector that I'm aware of, the possibility, or could potentially have the possibility, to actually tackle all 17 SDGs, since the finance sector is financing the economy largely, yeah, most widely, and so be it directly with loans, credit lines, or indirectly through investment products, but the money goes from the finance sector to the economy, and hence it has a huge potential for the SDGs. Yeah? And as you already said, Roberto, only 6.5% globally of this money, of the invested money, has some positive impact towards the SDGs. I'd say only part of these 6.5% are really impactful, maybe 2, maximum 3%. Anyway, having said that, and the credit side is similar, they're even lagging behind the investment side. So it's actually, to be honest, I'd say in the current business as usual regarding the finance sector, I'd say no. If they go on in this pace, they will not meet the SDGs by 2030. But what I'm hoping and aspiring is that the pressure will come from, the regulatory side. So that's a top-down approach, and from the and there are some things coming, and I'll maybe touch upon that later. And also from bottom up, the consumers have to be enabled to make well-informed decisions, aligning their money with their values, and we have to raise the awareness there. And so this pressure from both sides will actually somewhat force the finance sector to change with regards to the SDGs. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think that's the only possibility to speed up things. Because we shouldn't forget, the finance sector is not exactly intrinsically motivated. You know what I mean? So they need extrinsic pressure to move forward.
Thank you, Armand, for your first intervention. And I will jump then to Werner Müller. Please, Werner, you have the mic open.
Yeah. Hello to all the participants in the conference. Thank you also for the introduction. Meeting the SDGs by 2030, I think we can't say it yet, but there are just 10 years left to meet all the SDGs. I think we've got the responsibility to steer in this direction, and it's like the extrinsic effects. Armand has already spoken about it. I'm from an organization giving grants to innovative ideas, things like this, to ideas and businesses. And we see right now 25 of the percentage of SDG-related projects, innovative projects, already 25%. So you see, it's a steering effect in a way that, okay, the regulatory and the political interest is, okay, you have to have a steering effect that have an impact, not now, probably a little bit later, but I think you have to meet these challenges with innovation by the one hand, and then the other hand, it needs collaboration, as we heard in the first panel also. I think you can't face these challenges not in an Austrian perspective, probably on a European perspective yet, but for sure on a global perspective. That's why we have also like a program bringing knowledge from Asia and Israel to Austria and on the other way around. So I think it's you need to have a knowledge transfer and spread the word and try to face these challenges on a global or European level. And so I'm optimistic, but in the end, I don't think if it's 2030 or 5 years later, it needs to go in the right direction. And that needs to be also in the mindset of each businesses, that sustainability is not one thing that you can do in a small field with few resources. It needs to be part of your business and also part of the economy and part of the political system.
Thank you, Werner. For sure, I agree with you. This is a long-term plan, but we are in the right direction. This is what we are going to ask the next question. But before that, I will give the room for Olga to first please opinion about your work towards SDG, and if we need to be optimistic about the date, which is in 10 years, the agenda. So please, Olga, welcome.
Yes, hi, sorry for the delay. Hi, yes. Thank you so much for this panel. Yes, obviously, as my colleagues already mentioned, it actually requires both internal and external incentives. And obviously, we have political and economic barriers. But if we develop new technologies, if we develop new ESG-based business models, we can compete to oil and gas, for example. We can get over oil and gas. If we create demand for sustainable solutions and sustainable goods, promoting sustainable consumption, that would help as well. If we collaborate and create synergy, that would definitely help us to reach the SDGs by 2030 and not leave our plans on the paper. Some of the countries already actually demonstrate good results. For example, Sweden with its with over 50% renewables in its energy balance, or for example, Norway with 2/3 of its car being electric. Good track of in gender equality in Rwanda or New Zealand or Nicaragua. So we have good examples, and learning from them would make feasible contribution for the world. And also on our level, on the level of impact investors and startups, what we are doing in human venture, for example, we see that measuring and tracing impact is really important to make the goals more defined. If you measure your goals, this is the first step to reach them. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Johannes, you are here right now. Sorry, we lost you for a moment. The question, in case you miss it, is what is this best scenario and worst scenario towards achieving the SDGs?
And maybe I'm a bit in a special situation in contrast to my colleagues, because I'm working with young people and with teachers, and under this way I only have a positive scenario, because the negative scenario is not acceptable in my opinion. I think it's the same in situation when we are in the COVID situation. It would be not acceptable that this crisis would stay forever, and I think that way we have to compare this. It's not acceptable that we accept that there is a climate change with this tremendous effect. I think that's, in my opinion, if we have 6.5 in for sustainable financing, this sounds really weird. I also have the opinion 25% is weird if we take a look for investment in Austria for supporting, particularly if it's from the ministry who is in charge for climate change and for climate policy. In my opinion, when I'm working with students, I'm very optimistic. The Generation Z is very sensitive and empathic about this situation, and I think they would be really willing to work for a solution and to create something in the way. Of course, this is something what a lot of schools, I have the impression in my country, in Austria, are doing, and I think also this is really an international movement. I think I cannot remember any time where a generation has such a movement and a positive behavior to go on. This is something very unique, particularly from a generation where we are very often can read in newspapers, they are only consumer oriented. I think this is something where we see when we really need to be optimistic. This is a generation which like to take over responsibility. Maybe that's not the majority, but you need people who go on and give positive examples for the whole generation. And therefore, I'm very positive about that. And I don't see the alternative that we fail. I don't like to see this.
Thank you, Johannes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Johannes, for your inputs. I agree with you, Johannes. I think consumers and new generations are leading towards a new consumers' behavior and consumer demands. However, this is hard to be seen reflected in the financial sector or even in the investors' state of mind. And this allows me to ask the second question. What is the current state of mind in the financial and business sector? Are they really optimistic as the young generation towards this new change, or are still confused about the change in the business models needed? How can we tackle this situation, this state of mind in the sector? What is your opinion about it? Let's start, please, with Armand.
Yes, thank you for the question. I fully agree, actually, with Johannes regarding the younger generation. Unfortunately, in the finance sector at the moment, and I'm usually very optimistic, so today I have a flipped role, apparently. In the finance sector, unfortunately, these young people, young change makers and leaders have not risen yet. So what we see at the moment is rather, I hate to say this, but it's like the old white, I guess, league, and they're still very strongly in charge. Barely any women in the finance sector. Actually, something we want to address next year in a campaign. because it really bothers us. And so what I have to say is, I'd say the finance sector is waiting, is in the observing role right now, because there is quite something coming from the regulatory side. I'm talking about EU regulations. There is this action plan on sustainable finance, getting in place with EU taxonomy coming, green supporting factors, EU eco label in the coming years, a lot of stuff, even MiFID II, which came 2 years ago. It all goes regarding sustainability in the same direction. Transparency, bringing forward at least green investments. Unfortunately, they're not penalizing the so-called brown investments yet, which would also be important. But at least they're supporting the green investments, be it incentives from the tax side, or it could be also, that the interest rates for certain investments get better in accordance to if they're really green. So what I see is they're actually waiting, because I have the impression they're saying, let's not move forward too fast. I'm talking about the majority. Of course, there are ethical banks, there are environmental banks. That's the exception. That's the niche. Those are the good guys, yeah, if you want. Yeah? But the other ones are basically still in their own mindsets, which is money as a self-purpose. And of course, the regulatory side is coming now, building up pressure, which is good. And they're going to abide by these regulations, of course, but only when they are in place, not 1 minute before that, unfortunately. That's what I'm seeing. At least what the majority, because, for instance, our customers, they say, yeah, let's talk next year when the EU taxonomy is in place, then I want this and that service from you, But then again, that's the majority of the large banks. So of course there are first movers and a lot of very positive activities going on. But I'm really trying to tackle the mainstream investment and the mainstream finance world. And they're really lagging behind, I need to say. And they're waiting. Basically, they're waiting for regulations to kick in.
Thank you, Armand, for your great insights. I totally understand that I think we feel that need that is on the way track, but still needs to go mainstream. And I will let now the voice to Werner Müller, who's actually the money investor. So Werner, you have to have these kind of already these discussions, these meetings with other investors. How do they feel? How are there still like a lot of nervous? You must know the insights about this.
With investors, more with the businesses around. So as Johannes said, with the students, I've got the same feeling with startups. I think there are a lot of startups around with innovative idea, trying to get impact in SDGs, and they also got the idealism and spread the word. And I think so for the next generation, there will be quite good impact, as you said, in the business world. Let's see, change, they don't like too much change normally. So it's about innovation, yes, but change, they want to have a stable environment to do business. In a way, I think there we see a small or some change in the meaning. We have now, I don't know, sustainability reports for businesses. And I think the next step must be that it's part of the daily routine and of the daily business. So you have accounting, you need also, I think, this mindset to have sustainability within your daily business routine. And that's why from our side, so we give grants to ideas and support projects. We said, okay, we do not do any special programs for few special programs for sustainability. It's more about having all the programs for the projects and implement some criteria focusing on sustainability. So we are not want to support only innovations that are sustainable. We want to do businesses that think about sustainability in their business model. So I think that this change we have to have in the business, and on a global area, at least for Europe, we are in a position that we can make also money and position ourselves in the world economy, that sustainable business models can have a good impact, and compared to other regions like Asia or the States, you have to have your DNA, and probably sustainability could be one, at least for Europe, from a business side.
Thank you, Werner. That's a really great input. It's about stability, but it also is about innovation. I stick with that. It's really great lesson. Olga, please share with us how your peers are feeling at the moment.
Yeah, so this is a very good question, actually. And what I like about today's world is that sustainability brought a lot of new ideas, a lot of innovations to economics. We can see new business models actually appearing all the time. For example, now you can find a project which, like, I don't know, the bracelets made of plastic ocean, or I don't know, a lot of digital education and healthcare platforms, or even a crowdfunding platform for renewable energy transformation. We couldn't even think about it like 40 or 50 years ago. So sustainability definitely positively impact evolution of businesses through creating of new business models. And on the other hand, we have these large corporates who also adopt a lot of, sustainability principles through their corporate social responsibility policies, for example, in their supply chains, through eco-packing, through, targeting zero waste, through modern human resource management, like, caring a lot about well-being of the personals working. And this is very positive. On the investor side, I would say that alongside growing impact investment portfolios and number of impact investors, we still face few gaps. And the most common is knowledge and understanding. I can very often see that venture investors confuse impact investments and donations, for example. Or another point is, regardless of what is shown in many reports, that impact investments generate comparable to non-impact business return on investment, venture capitalists still stay suspicious and risk-averse. This is not really positive. And I would share my experience, for example, when we started to promote our service of impact portfolio management for Russian venture capitalists 2 years ago. We were completely rejected by the market. So we had to start educating those investors slowly through showing the best world practices, through running the workshops, conferences. And only now, after 2 years, some of them agreed to show the impact of their portfolios, impact they're creating, still not investing into impact, but yet showing it, which is a good result already. And the core conclusion for me is that we need to educate investors more and more through making impact investing more global, more must-have rather than nice-to-have trend. I would finally actually highlight also the role of intermediaries, such as impact communities and platforms who help develop trends for education, networking, best practice exchange. I mean, if we had more 1 million startups platforms, it would definitely facilitate the progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love your statement about we need to educate investors, we need to educate the business managers. And I will jump to Johannes. Johannes, how do you feel? You are it seems you are more annoyed deeply in the financial sector. You are already leading your own initiative. Do you feel really confused about all these impact investment, how you can get finance or funding towards you wanted to achieve?
I think, of course, each business has to have a financing, and it's a normal effect that you have to think about that. I like a lot what Werner was speaking about, that sustainability should be a normal factor for each of the fundings, what they are giving, and each of the businesses we have. And we are using, for instance, a sustainable business model. And for the most of the youngsters, sustainability, therefore, is a normal element of the business model. And at the moment, we are doing a board game where we have fostered this more. I think it's really important that youngsters see that's a normal element. If you want to have a good future, this should be a normal element of each of our businesses. And of course, it's important, as Olga mentioned, that we show also the impact, because we have a lot of youngsters, they are not realizing a business only sustainable, they are doing a cool business which like to have an impact. And it's particularly special that a lot of youngsters like to have an impact because they like to have a good life. And I can see this phenomenon. We are organizing also a European Championship. And I see this phenomenon in the most European countries really in the same way. There's nothing special from Austria. It's the same in Germany, in Spain, in Belgium, in Luxembourg, in Slovenia, in Poland. I see that it's really a European effect. And I'm also have some cooperation with African countries, and I would see the same. Of course, they are struggling with more economic problems in some environments, and therefore sustainability is maybe a smaller element in some of their effects because they are just looking to survive in some aspects. But I think that's really an international thing. Therefore, I think Armand said it very important point when he was speaking about regulations. I think an economic system is a system where you have freedom and you have regulations. We have regulations for taxes, and maybe we need also some regulations for sustainability for the medium term, like we have now for COVID. We accept that we are using several different things to protect other people and ourselves. And I think the same we have to think that we need some regulations where we can really achieve that we will find the SDGs really 2030 or 2035, 50 or 2060. It's a bit too late for some of the solutions, for some of the objectives, because when we cannot change them and bring them, and then we need to invest much more money to bring the things back, if we ever can bring them back.
Totally, I agree with you. There is youngsters over there still confused, and again going back to Olga, great input. We need to not only educate the investors but also the money seekers, the ones who come up with initiatives. And we are heading towards the last questions, and it's a question regarding more about a really personal approach, a really last. Let's say, advice you can give to other persons who are working in the financial sector. You are sometimes those unknown heroes, because as we already said, you are the ones who are investing or trying to convince investors to finance sustainability. Which kind of recommendation or what kind of advice you can give to others like you working in the business or the financial sector and they want to shift toward sustainability? Armand? Your mic, Armand? Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Technical issues. Yeah, well, excellent question. Actually, not everyone is an entrepreneur, let alone social entrepreneur. And so it's really important to bring this idea and vision actually into the private sector as well as the public sector. And so what I've learned from, for instance, Ashoka was that we have to actually start thinking as intrapreneurs in these companies and in the public sector. So it's very important to enable them and to motivate them, give them the tools they need to, become social intrapreneurs. Yeah? Within their companies. And I mean, basically, I know potentially there's a lot of constraints, a lot of unflexibility, etc. in these large corporates and also in the public sector. But I believe, I believe that you can, every person that is really into it and has a fire burning inside can actually change the structures they are in. They only have to speak their language of the institution. They have to find solutions that are feasible, maybe bring some sexiness into the topic, try to bring innovation from within, or work with partners who are innovating and helping in this field. So there is always at least one SDG, or in the finance sector, a lot of SDGs that you can impact in your core business. And that's the one you have to tackle, and you have to really be motivated about. And so I guess just, stay strong, stay focused. I guess don't listen to naysayers. That's very important. Also within these structures, if you want to become an entrepreneur, no matter how hard it is, and have stamina, and inspire maybe others to become entrepreneurs within your organizations. And I guess that could be one possible formula to solve the SDG issues within these companies.
Thank you, Armand, for your great input. I will jump quickly because we are almost running out of time. Werner, you are actually dealing with two different continents and different cultures. I think your input has to be really interesting from your perspective. What kind of advice can you give not only to European investors or seekers who are looking worldwide solutions?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention, also to pass over afterwards to the pitches. It's like, it's spread the word, and it's also being open-minded and collaborate on a global perspective. So I think you can learn from other verticals, from other countries, from other people, but also from other totally different cultures, and they're facing probably different challenges, but the solutions might be the same, or you can use the business model to face another problem that is from your side totally different, but on the other side probably it's more similar than you think. And so that's why we bring Asian startups to Austria. As you see afterwards, they've got big portfolio afterwards of different ideas facing SDGs or tackling SDGs. So it's not only about energy or health. It's a wide portfolio, and I think it's learn from others, spread the word, and collaborate. I think it's one of the most important things you can do.
Thank you, Bernard.
Yeah, listen to the pitches afterwards.
Of course, that I agree with that.
Big shout outs to them.
Thank you, Werner. I quickly jump to Olga, who actually, you are the only woman here, which actually, I mean, I don't want to go to the negativity part, but we need more women managing portfolios or investments. We need money investors like you.
More female investors, right? Thank you. So I would be precise. For business, I would recommend to assess impact you produce, assess impact gaps and opportunities for your business, like where more impact can be created and what value would it add to your business. And then inject impact into your business, even if you don't know how, even if you're not an impact business. How, for example, through adopting the CSR principles, like good job conditions, sustainable supply chains. Or, for example, you can monitor I don't know, if you're a software company, for example, consuming a lot of energy, you don't have to make your office equipped with the solar panels, to monitor your energy balance. But alternatively, you can simply plant the trees, which would lead your cumulative energy consumption to the zero balance. Finally, for business, I would recommend to measure and show your impact alongside with the financial results. For the investors, I would say learn more about impact investing, because it's not only profitable, but it will bring the long-term trend, because in a while, non-impact businesses would have less chances to survive on the market. And also include impact investing principles, measure impact, and develop impact ratings for your scoring and portfolio assessment models. So for both of these roles, I would recommend, alongside scaling your impact, be the role model for your partners and for other entrepreneurs, not only in your businesses, but also in your lifestyle, because inspiration, as Bor mentioned, is very important. And you can choose now to be impact headliners rather than further followers. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that was a killing end. Thank you so much, Olga. Johannes, You are in the educational sector. I know that for you is all about how to teach the next generation. I just want to hear from you what is your advice to the next generation, or even your peers who are working on the same with education and try to teach others how to be more sustainable, or even in managing their money and their savings.
In my opinion, it's when you want to have a change of behavior, you need positive, attractive objectives for people. And I think it's probably not so different between youngsters and people who are working in finance. I think when we see that they are not willing to change the behavior because they see there's a problem where they should solute this with their own finance, you need to give them attractive points that they are willing to change the behavior. And I think we have to think about that, how we can quick change this behavior, because regulations are normally negative things, where the people will find ways out of that, on the side away from that. Therefore, we need to be careful about that. I think on the European side, I have the opinion we should have a kind of a tax positive thing for all impact investors. Then a lot of people would try to have an impact investment if they see they can save taxes or they can save anything else. I think we need to do this kind of behavior to support this behavior. If we see that the finance sector is not willing to change the behaviors by themselves. Maybe from the youngster side, we could motivate that youngsters speak to their own parents if they are financing for something that they need to take care where they are financing, that they are not buying this company shares or that, or that they should do something in a positive way. Or for instance, yeah, you're right, Omar. I think that's something important, because I think we're in the nice position that we can decide between different ways. We have different opportunities. And therefore, this is an important thing. For instance, I know a lot of people, particularly a lot of teachers who are investing money for African funds, where they see that they have a positive impact, and they say that's the interest what they get out, that they have the feeling that they are doing something for areas where they have the feeling that they need more investment like that. Therefore, I think we need attractive elements that people are willing to change the behavior. It's the same for students like for the finance sector. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Johannes. I will quickly, I don't want to skip the audience question, so I will just ask you to briefly answer the following question. How can we change the mindset from the public authorities issuing grants in favor of impact-driven solutions? We're talking about public funding. Really quick, Arman. Your mic, yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm not so much into multitasking. I was just trying to read, which question was it you were asking?
Yes, about public authorities issuing grants to impact solutions. Just quick statement, there is a change needed there.
Actually, I would like to throw that question right at Werner, because I think he's the right person to answer it, if that's okay.
Perfect, Werner.
Yeah, we see this mind change by the governmental change. As now in Austria, it's the Green Party also in the government. So, and there's a steering effect. Like, okay, there's money dedicated to sustainable criteria. So, yeah, that's the. It's quite easy to have a steering effect. You just have to dedicate the money to sustainable criteria and execute the criteria. I think it's important that it's not just to have a banner on it. Okay, things is sustainable. So you have to have also a control mechanism. But it's happening, and there's a lot of money dedicated to digitalization, but also to green and sustainable projects.
Thank you, Werner. Someone wants to add something regarding this? Maybe Olga, have you had the chance to work with public institutions and their challenges in finance or issuing grants?
the criteria were already mentioned. They are important factors. So to make the proper measurable criteria of created impact. I would also add something that I actually heard on the London's conference the other day. A great idea, which I want to share, is not only focus on the grants, but other possible ways of providing aid as well. For example, these tax incentives for the investors. So when an investor invests in some business, he gets, I don't know, 50% refunded from the government. And the additional incentives would be, get additional refunding for the business, investing in businesses created by women, for example, or investing into impact businesses in particular. So I think that the public sector, the governments should look, wider, search for wider options rather than just grants. Yeah.
I agree with you, Olga. Thank you so much for sharing. Johannes, something really quick you want to share on this?
In my opinion, it's really easy how we can change the behavior of politicians. It's in our hands because they are voters or opinion oriented. And if a lot of people would say environment protection, climate change is important, then a lot of parties will get green. We had the same effect in the 80s. I can remember I was a very, very young boy, and where all parties in Austria had the opinion they need to be green, that the Green Party will not be in the parliament. And I think we need to have this kind of voter opinion much more. That is really a pressure that each party says, okay, if I'm not climate oriented, I will not win the next election.
Thank you, Johannes. I agree. Thank you. Was really great about how you close it. Thank you so much, panelists. Just for closing this session, I will share with you a little bit what my personal approach to your interventions look like. I think you are inviting every leader who not only be moral, ethical, equipped with tools, but also get informed, research, and of course, trying to be aware that we need to be pushing forward to sustainability, not only with ourselves or governments, but also to the business and financial sector. Thank you so much, panelists. I will invite here maybe Sophie. Don't worry, I will not play music. So sorry for the loud music. I read some messages. Thank you so much, panelists. Welcome, Sophie, again. I think we are late. We are taking someone's time.
Thank you, everyone, for this insight into more of the structural and the financial aspects of the area that our entrepreneurs operate in. But this is exactly where we're going to go now, to our entrepreneurs. Like Van already teased, for the final part of the day, what would a conference about leading without hearings and pitches from entrepreneurs who are exactly implementing that change? So now we will hear from 10 international startups from Israel, Hong Kong, and Singapore who are taking part in the FFG Global Incubator Program. To introduce us to them, please welcome one of the organizers of today and from the team of 1 Million Startups at Startapparat, Ivona Haban. The stage is yours, Ivona.
Thank you, Sophie. Let me just see if my camera is working. It is. Johannes, you were doubled all the time, so I'm just going to ask you to please reload this conference. But I don't mind having you with me all the time. Just we are going to have to put the floor to our startups. So thank you, Sophie, for the introduction, and thank you, Johannes. As she already mentioned, our partner Global Incubator Network, GIN Austria, this year again gathered the startups in their program Go Austria Fall 2020. And you can find this info on the link on the website that I just posted in the chat. And you can also there find their portfolio that Werner mentioned in the previous panel also. But now I'm going to present you the 9 of those inspiring startups through their 1-minute pitches. Just to inform you, we will have the overall Q&A at the end of the session, at the end of all pitches, but you can leave your questions to the startups in the Q&A section. And don't forget to write who the question is for, so we can know who are you asking. So for the start, we are going to go to Israel. So Sonia Davidson, the founder of H2 Energy Now, is going to tell us more about their startup. So let's hear it.
Our company's why is to change the world, to leave it a better place than it is today. So our children and grandchildren will have an amazing world to live in. Our technology, our first product, H2 Energy Now, does that. We take water and then we separate it to its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen using electromagnetic waves. We've reached proof of principle prototype. Our testing shows results of 88.9% efficient versus 60% for electrolysis, and our capital costs are less because we're using no rare metals. Our patents were granted in the US and Europe in 2019, and additional patents in 2020 were granted in Germany, France, and Great Britain. We're presently involved in our product's commercialization. We're looking for a lab and a strategic partner. Thank you again.
So I hope that you understood now how this is going to work. So be quick with your questions. Next, we are going to go to South Korea, and Sang-Gu Kang, the CEO of MediSapiens, is going to tell us more about their startup.
Hi, I'm Sang-Gu Kang at MediSapiens Inc. Almost 10% of world population is affected by 7,000 rare diseases. More and more newborns are hospitalized to NICU due to today's mom's later age delivery and environmental issues, summing up 10% of total newborns. It took almost 10 years to confirm the final diagnosis of the disease with a conventional test. With our own DNA sequencing panel and software, turnaround time is less than a week with close to 100% accuracy at the lowest cost. Our target disease of more than 200 are actionable for today's MDs. In other words, we are able to save lives, cure, and alleviate pains with the treatments recommended by our product. Otherwise, would have died or handicapped for the rest of their lives. Out of 17 SDGs by UN, our solution brings health, human rights, and equalities right next to us. Please connect us with hospitals, pharmaceuticals, and investors. You will not regret about it.
You are not going to regret about listening to all of those stories either. But from South Korea, we are going back to Israel. Sharon Haramati is the co-founder of My Milk Laboratories. We are going to hear their story now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Haramati of My Milk. Breastfeeding is one of the strongest public health promoters, affecting 100% of future population with great well-being and financial impact. Our first product is the Miley, a mobile health device and app for improving breastfeeding through direct breast milk sensing. Today, almost all new mothers initiate breastfeeding, but 80% stop too soon, with the main concern reported is, I did not have enough milk. This is preventable by good breastfeeding establishment early on. For the first time ever, a mother can get immediate, actionable insights on her breastfeeding and milk supply progress right on her smartphone, simply by objectively scanning a few drops of her milk daily. So far, we have had a successful beta with lactation consultants and over 600 mothers. We call you to join our mission to help every new mother out there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And from Israel, we are going to Singapore. Amia Patanik is the co-founder of Neurobit Technologies, and we are going to hear their story.
There is a disease which, if undiagnosed, can reduce your lifespan by over 20 years. And there are 1 billion people across the world suffering from it. And yet, more than 80% are undiagnosed. I'm talking about sleep apnea. Right now, diagnosing apnea involves expensive visits to specialists, complex test procedures, and wait times of months. We have made apnea diagnosis 1,000 times simpler and 10 times cheaper with this. It's called Z3 Pulse. It's a patch that you wear on your chest, connected to our app, and next morning you have a report ready. We at Team Neurobit are experts with decades of experience in sleep, neuroscience, and AI. And we need your help. Go to mysleep.study and know more, and let your friends and colleagues know about us. Thank you.
Great. And with 3Z jumps and 3Z steps, we are going to go to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, we are going to hear from Jan Frederik Engels, the co-founder of Orphamic Technology. Let's hear their story.
Hi everyone, I'm Langston Soon, founder of Orphamic Technology from Hong Kong. We are a medtech innovation company working on a novel drug delivery technology in the eye care space. For more than 500 million patients in the world with retinal diseases, they have to go through a horrifying process, which is eye injections. Imagine a needle that is poked into the eye every month just to get the medications delivered. What Orphamic has developed so far is a truly non-invasive alternative to eye injections. Patients can say goodbye to the needles, and we can hugely simplify the conventional treatment process. Our product and technology has been well recognized with more than 12 awards from around the world. As we are entering into the clinical and manufacturing stage, we are looking for strategic partners and together bringing new innovations to patients in need. Thank you.
Thank you too. We are going back to Israel, and in Israel there will be Elon Cohen, the founder of Pika. Let's see what their startup is about.
Hi everyone, my name is Alon and I'm the founder of Pika. At Pika we're just basically dealing with shit. Every parent is know the product diapers. Each baby consumes around 6,500 diapers but basically all made from plastic and goes to our landfills. And on the other end you have cloth diapers that they are very hard to handle. You need to do at least 6 different steps until the parent can have a fully clean diapers. So at Pika, we are basically developing a machine that cleans reusable diapers in one step. So the parent just need to put inside the machine the diapers, and then they will come out perfectly clean and sanitized. So this is a much more concept that works together with the circular economy. If we bring diapers to a much more circular economic way, it can all make our environment much better and also save much more money with all the transport of disposable diapers. So thank you very much and happy to participate in the contest. Bye bye.
Great. I hope you enjoyed that pitch too. And now I'm going to ask Ellie Sander to turn on her camera and microphone. Ellie is the head of business in Thermotherma, Israel. So Ellie, if you are here, we are going to wait for your pitch.
Ivana. Pete, actually.
Hi, Ellie. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
But you have a wonderful name. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, here is your.
So we are Thermotherma, and we are using humidity power to heat and cool buildings. So what is humidity power? Humidity power is a renewable energy source you have never heard of. Throughout the day, there are natural fluctuations in humidity. It's much more humid at night and much less humid during the day. Now, think about when you sweat. Water evaporates off your skin, and this causes a cooling effect. This is because the evaporation of water absorbs energy. The inverse is true. When water is absorbed, it releases energy. So the fluctuations in humidity throughout the day release and absorb huge amounts of energy. We use this energy to heat and cool buildings. This means we can dramatically reduce building heating and cooling costs using only the power of renewable humidity power. We are a team of engineers, physicists, and financial experts from across Israel, and we've already got LOIs signed with some of the biggest companies in the world. We have working prototypes, and what we need now is to go from a prototype that works in our lab to having humidity power heating and cooling buildings. We're looking for strategic partners and for investors. www.humiditypower.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you. It's also nice to be live.
Thank you, Ellie. It was really nice to see you live also. You're for sure going to go back for the Q&A session afterwards. Anyhow, we are going from Israel back to Singapore. In Singapore, Aisha Mahta is the co-founder of Transfer Fee, and we are going to hear their pitch.
Hi, my name is Lionel, and I'm from TransferFi. We are developing the world's first long-range, safe and efficient wireless power network. Our vision is to provide access to power to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Since the discovery of power, one thing remains the same: wires. 1/7 of the world's population still do not have access to power. Offshore renewables still remain an economic impossibility. New concepts like smart nations, Industry 4.0 still require massive cabling infrastructure. This is expensive and requires downtime. At TransferFi, we are enabling mass sensor deployments without the use of cables, increasing uptime and reducing costs by 50%. In future, we look to power over a kilometer at a kilowatt of power. I welcome you into joining us into the next revolution of power distribution. Thank you.
Thank you for this lovely pitch. The next one and the last of the startups of Jane's session is going to be Cayman Guan, the marketing director of Huibot in China, and he is going to lead us into their startup, literally.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Guiman speaking from Huibot, based in Shenzhen, China, and we are a mobile operation robot maker. And today I'm going to give you a tour around our company and see what we're going to find out. This is our R&D department with over 60 people working here, all masters or doctors from the mechanical engineer major. And this one is a robot in a warehouse managing all the cargoes, and this one is a document management robot as well as that one. And this one is our star product recently. This is the anti-COVID-19 robot, and on the top there's a thermometer camera capturing human body temperature during the day and UVC lights killing virus during the night. And also we're using the same technology with the moving technology plus the operation technologies, using the robot to replace dangerous human work or the work that not fitable for human to manage. Here's our young engineers having their dinner doing work, and this solution is the one that we developed for chip-side manufacturing factories to transfer the chip sites inside the factory and also operate the chip-side box, put them in and out to the machine.
I hope you all enjoyed the trip to China a little bit. And that would be all 9 startups out of 10 that qualified for the Go for Austria this year. But to also finish this on a slightly different note, I'm going to call Laila Beher, the panelist that you had the opportunity to hear at our first panel, to tell us more about Gaia protection, so we can learn how they started and what are they actually doing. Laila?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm here. So let me tell you, my name is Lila. I'm from Costa Rica and Germany, and truly in love with solutions that protect our planet and the life of future generations. This is really why we founded the social media platform Gaia Protection, to offer an innovative ecosystem for solution-oriented individuals, projects, and donors that make the development of the SDGs in our local communities a fun experience. So, as you heard, when I was 15, I felt incredibly depressed about the state of our world. And actually, I'm not the only one, because already 44% of young people aged 10 to 14 years feel anxious about the future impact of climate change. But on the other side, we have numbers of small good cause organizations that is increasing, but mostly these organizations are working on their own alone without knowing about similar projects. And on the other side, as well, we have more and more institutions, philanthropists, and donors that would like to support projects but don't feel comfortable donating to small organizations because of a why we've been developing different features that enable all those different actors to co-create the future that we wish to see. First of all, we have the online map of solutions where you can filter the different SDGs and Gaia goals to provide more visibility for grassroots projects and create a bridge between civil engagement and politics. On the other side, we have the matching system that enables everyone to save time through directly getting matched to their favorite SDGs, cause, and also area of impact. So as you can see, we have different user profiles where you can directly connect with those people, but also share pictures and videos that make every project very transparent and interactive. With a specific milestone tracker, then we can see which specific step along the way is being fulfilled and which efforts and people are still needed to bring a project to fruition. So it would be lovely to connect with like-minded organizations or also companies that would like to improve their corporate social responsibility by finding suitable volunteering experiences for their employees or simply funding projects that drive community change. Thank you very much, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or also such a personal level, Lila Protection, Instagram on Cosmic Lila. Thank you, guys.
It was really lovely to see you again, and please share again your contacts with the chat. People are going to like to connect to you. So we have a question for Neurobit. Could you explain how this works? From Neurobit, we have Amia Patanik. Hi, Amia. Hello, and welcome live. Can you say something so we can check if we can hear you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Hi, Yvonne.
Great. So, hello, and could you explain how it works?
Certainly. So we have another product called Z3 Score, which is an analytics product that works with existing sleep labs. The data that comes from these sleep labs includes a lot of channels from the head to different muscles. So what we have done is built an AI system that maps this high-level data to ECG or heart rate. And essentially, this device is a very high-quality ECG sensor. So by using that AI platform, we can take this ECG signal and do things that would normally require you to go to a sleep lab. So that's in very simple terms how it works.
There is also one question for Ellie. I'm just going to ask him to pop up back on stage. Hello. So there is a question. How did you start? Did you experience the problem yourself, or like, how was it? Your mic on.
Right. It's actually a really great story. So our co-founders, it's me who's got a financial background, one engineer and one physicist, and the physicist built his own zero carbon house. So he built from scratch a house that emits no carbon, which is extremely difficult, but he got cold in the winter. And so he started researching different ways that aren't currently on the market that he couldn't buy that would create heat. And what he discovered is that it's called latent heat. When water is absorbed, it releases energy, which you feel as heat. And so he thought, wow, actually, you know what? I could use this to heat my house. And then he approached the people that became the rest of the team, who turned it into a product and eventually into a business. So that's how we came up with the product.
Oh, actually, but it's actually the best way to feel what's the problem itself.
Yeah.
And wanted to solve it. One more question also for Neurobit. So we are going to go back to Amiat. Thank you, Ellie, for now. So there's like how you how do you sell the product?
Mm-hmm. So right now we are waiting for regulatory clearance. While that is happening, we have already started user testing and some clinical trials. Once we get regulated, we'll sell through telemedicine solution providers, existing sleep labs, through GPs, and as well as direct to customer. So that's how we are reaching the customer. And the price point will be 5 to 10 times cheaper than existing solutions.
Very cool that you have that concept already in mind and aligned. Okay, there are a few more questions popping up, but we are already a little bit late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the contact info of the where you can find the contacts and all the informations in the booklet of the every startup that you could hear. So please, I would ask you to maybe find those startups that inspired you on the participation list and ask them to join you on individual one-to-one table at the end of our conference so you can network a little bit more. And other than that, just please directly call them or write to them and connect to the startups you just heard about. Sophie, I think we can conclude this part.
Thank you, Ivona, and thank you to all the startup teams for your awesome ideas and for sharing them with us. But we're almost done with our day. But to close us out, I would love to invite Helena Rosange-Sepic, the co-founder of 1 Million Startups and Startupberat, to say a few closing words to us. Helena?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, we have reached the end of our third 1 Million Startup Conference. However, the first bigger online gathering. So I think we've done very well, thanks to you. Many thanks to all of you for your participation in what has been an important event as we looked to the shared objective of working towards achieving the SDGs. Today's discussions have showcased that we recognize and respect the new faces of leadership, men and women of different generations that we've seen today. The organizations and businesses understand more and more the importance of impact investment and are supporting sustainability in business and in technology, as been seen with different startups now at the end. Our commitment to a brighter future for all, willingness to change, to recognize new stars among us, to foster entrepreneurship and business with purpose and not just profits, is clear to see. We hope that this is just one step forward and that we will continue being strong and vocal about true needs of common action towards the SDG. Finally, on behalf of all of us, from 1 Million Startup, I should thank to our guest speakers, panelists, pitching startups that joined really from every corner of our world. Your presence has been invaluable, and without any doubt, it is what made this event successful. We greatly appreciate the support we have received from Global International Network Program, program of Austrian Promotional Agency, media, and all other partners and supporters. Big thanks goes to Sophie Teichmeister for facilitating the entire event. You were excellent as usual, Sophie. Margaret and Roberto with his music. Great work on panels. Thank you. And I'm also very grateful to the entire 1 Million Startup team. Although we all agreed that it has been kind of easier to organize an online show, still we had a long to-do list. So thank you guys. 1 Million Startup Global Conference is the most important annual gathering of our community. We are very much looking forward to 2021 and to the real-time event in Vienna. Hope to see you all there. Till then, make the most of our virtual networking that still follows. I think we still have around 40 minutes till the event closes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helena. And finally, I also want to say a big thank you from my side to everyone involved today. Thank you to Selma and Ivona for creating a movement like 1 Million Startups that brings together such innovators and change makers and gives them a platform to share their ideas to bring about the change that we want to see in the world. Thank you to all of our speakers, panelists, and hosts for sharing your stories with us, and most importantly, for doing the work that you do, for stepping up and creating this world. And finally, most of all, thank you to all of you who came together from all over the world to spend this afternoon with us. I encourage you all to still stick around. Like Helena said, the networking floor is still open. So please continue networking, use this opportunity, join a few tables and have some conversations. The conference floor will remain open. But when you go, I truly hope you'll leave as inspired and as motivated as I am right now, and ready to take this change into our own hands and make this happen. So really, thank you all. Have a great day.